I'm ready. God damn it. This idiot is gonna cause us trouble. All because he's gonna shoot from up there. Get down here, you fucking useless turd nugget. Shouldn't he be limping? Noob glaive user. Not trying to be an insult, it's just he's the typical new player that is like, glaive is the only thing you can do anything with because I can actually move and jump around.
Hey.
What's up?
Nothing much. What about you?
I was out walking earlier today and some guy drove by me and was like, "Woo, smoking!" And I didn't even know how to respond to it, so I just like put my arms out like, "What?"
What did he say? It didn't even sound human.
What? I said smoking. He like did a woo sound. He was like, "Woo!" as he drove by. And then at the end of where I could hear him, he was like, "Smoking!" And I was like, "What?"
No.
I don't know how some people just do that. They just bust out the yelling. Like, "Wow! Wow!"
Stop on foul, you're making my stomach hurt.
What, you never heard a person fake scream before? Faux scream? Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.
Yeah, but you're really bad at it.
What do you mean I'm bad at it? Wow! I'm a cartoon character falling really, 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 really far away from where the set is located.
Wow.
Wow! Wow! What?
Seen today's wares?
What have you been doing? No, I'm doing the opposite. I'm doing where you're not actually screaming. It's like the sound of internalized screaming. It's like when you've been trying to do something for like 15 minutes and it
Was
finally...
at my cousin's house for the weekend.
And whatever you did, you finally did it. And then like
Hate
5
those
minutes
little
later,
shits, so annoying.
you realize you left something out. That's the screaming sound you make. What does he have? Anything? A video game? A pool? You don't seem like the pool type, Hyro. Do you float or sink? Are you a floater or a sinker?
No, he's just annoying. He kept calling me fat and a faggot. Also, I am a floater.
He sounds like he's born in a spoiled family.
I used to be a sinker, but I trained.
What the fuck was that? Stop! You dick cheese. No, you stunned him in the tornado, you fucking stupid bow user. I hate bow users. Worst players. Always.
His parents are really nice and he doesn't do the shit in front of them. The kids are just fucked up.
Well, somewhere down the line that kid met someone who is manipulative and learned from him. You don't have good parents and then a rotten egg without there being some intermediate along the way that introduced that. Kid doesn't just start saying friggin' that kind of shit out of nowhere. I mean, fat's one thing, but the other thing is like something only shitty kids develop. But then again, I'm speaking for nowadays. Like at my age, at like a young age when I was growing up, everyone said that, but that was before it was deemed an offensive slur. We always used to just joke about it. We never meant it in the way that people say that it means. Because we also used gay in a different context. We'd call something gay if we thought it was stupid. So it was like, it wasn't even necessarily a derogatory thing. That was just what we did. I don't know why we did, but we did.
You get injured, crawl back and wait for the next chance.
Stupidity is not something I tolerate.
The kids nowadays are under so much negative stigma from the internet that once they start doing that shit, they'll quickly stop if they don't want to become the jackass on the internet. Because every kid's on the internet. Which, that's probably what could have caused that kid to become a shitlord. Look at how hard that guy is trying right now. He's just mashing a button. You didn't even wait for him to fly, you fucking nerds. Wow.
Yet I saved my little brother since the kid was trying to teach him how to jack his dick and my brother's online. Oh man.
That's just fucking weird, dude. I don't even know if I wanted to know that.
That was seriously impressive.
Hyro, you don't train to be a floater, by the way. What I mean by this sink versus float thing is, I mean, if you lay on your back on top of the water, do you stay afloat or do you still sink in the water? Because there are some people who sink regardless of what they do.
Well then I guess in the sinker.
People who float can lay back on water and float. People who sink can't float in water. They have neutral buoyancy, which means they'll sink in the water about a foot or two down and then they'll not sink anymore, which has to be scary for people. That's probably people who don't like water. It's just they're naturally not buoyant. You have to have a certain level of buoyancy to stay on the surface. Then yeah. It's all about the amount of empty space inside of you, weirdly enough. People with more toned muscles tend to sink faster in water. Or, I shouldn't necessarily say toned muscles, I mean just like big muscles. People with big muscles tend to sink faster. That's why the fastest swimmers are skinny, lanky dudes. Because you want muscle, but you don't want...
crying loudly.
You don't want to be friggin' jacked, if you know what I mean. You don't want to have shoulders on your shoulders. Because you know how there are some dudes like that. They have like the shoulder and then it goes up and then they have like a second shoulder almost. Because they're super jacked and their neck is like an inch tall because the second shoulder goes halfway up their neck and their head's like forced forwards. You see that in those like ultra strongman dudes where it's not even like they have huge muscles. They're just massive. They have huge arms, huge guts and everything like that, and they pull like 6,000 pound cars and stuff like that like it's nothing.
The Rock looks disgusting now.
Well, he's a person who's jacked. He's like, those are the people who obsess over bodybuilding for the idea that someday their strength will be needed. But in reality, if it ever comes down to it, what is your fist going to do against any of the things that you'd find out on the street nowadays? Nothing. Especially if you're in the city, being a strong guy doesn't mean shit. The only thing that means is you're less likely to get mugged by people hand to hand. Doesn't mean shit for guys that carry friggin' knives and other stuff around, though.
Lol.
Sorry, I had to grab my lighter out of my shorts pocket. I don't know if you were here yesterday when I said it, but I finally had my first full salad with only stuff from my garden.
Nice.
Only sad thing is that our the friggin' beans around here got stunted massively because when I planted them, we got a cold spell immediately after, so almost all of them did not come up until several weeks later after when they would normally start to come up. So most of them don't even have beans on them yet when they should be covered in them by now. But then again, they're things that grow fast, so it's my favorite variety. It's the only reason why I care. It's called the RBBB, as I nicknamed it, because it's got such a long fucking name. They're called the Royal Burgundy Bush Bean. RBBB. That's what I mark with the tags when I start them. The actual beans and stems of the plant turn a vibrant, deep purple color that is almost an illusion because the pigment is all on the outer like millimeter of the actual thing. So you throw them in water and the color cooks out of them in a matter of 10 seconds. Hear that guy in the friggin' turbocharged diesel just take off? Hear him spinning the tires going up through the gears. Must have like 1,000 foot-pounds of torque in that thing to do that. Spinning, pulling out, and then spinning while shifting up. Must suck when you're like angry and you're trying to drive somewhere and you burn out, but you burn out longer than intended because your vehicle's just too strong, so you just keep spinning your tires when you want to take off really fast. I'm still not done putting up all the fencing for my plants yet. I need to finish that tomorrow. I've been lazy in doing it, and I've only been doing it one ring at a time as they need it. But I need to just finish it so I don't have to keep going out there and fucking with it all the time. But it is like 8 feet of cord. Well, 8 feet of cord. That's way underestimating it, super underestimating it. I was just thinking of the height of the posts. The actual cord, I've gone through 200 feet of cord so far. Because I'm using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 posts arranged in a sort of grid pattern. An angular grid pattern. Where it's like, it's pointed on either end, and then it comes outwards, and I do a cross type thing in between them to add structure to it. So it's not just from one post to another, it's like in between other posts. You'd have to see it to understand it a little bit better, but it basically is a foolproof method for staking up tomatoes when you don't want the stakes to fall over, because it's all equally balanced. If one starts to pull one way, one will pull with it to the other way, and it'll flex all together. That way, if I see where one post is getting too much weight on it or something like that, I can simply tie a piece of cord to it and pull it backwards and stake it into the ground if I need to. But it's massive. And it's gonna have like 15 different varieties of tomatoes going up through it. But I'll be right back. 1 second, I need to use the bathroom. I know my gardening stuff doesn't interest most people, but for me it's always been fun and just interesting. It allows you to interact with nature in a way that most people take for granted nowadays because of the ease of access of getting a lot of food. It's just why I always seem so smart to people when I talk about the wildlife around here, and they're just like, wow, I never knew that, or I never knew that thing existed around here. Because they never bothered to look around.
Soccer is such a boring sport. Who even watches it and thinks, wow, look at all the action? Is weird.
Teddy, or not Teddy, sorry, Mike does. Mike even watches women's soccer. I was over there and he put that on and I was like, can we like watch something with like plants or some shit in it? Put on something about plants and animals or a comedy special or a TV show like Workaholics. No. Women's soccer.
Use everything at your disposal. That's the way it works here in the New World.
At least, and I'm not saying this to be like a sexist person, like I've watched both male soccer and female soccer, and male soccer gets a lot more
Women's sports are a joke.
intense a lot faster. I watched that soccer game and there was probably 5 solid minutes where the ball never even got within like 40 feet of the goal, because the people who were doing like center and were the wings just kept passing it back and forth, and then it'd get stolen, and then it'd get passed back and forth again, and then it'd get stolen, and it was just like, what is going on? Like, this is little league shit. And then one finally hit the ball like off of her head and it completely missed. And they were like, whoa! And I was just like, ugh. Internally, I was screaming. I hate saying women's sports are a joke, because there are some sports where the women's teams can actually be better, but they're not in those kinds of sports.
Well, all shit the same.
You just watch a team briskly pass the ball in between each other for like 30 minutes straight, and then one will maybe score a goal, maybe. And then the entire, like the one of the other things about soccer that I hate the most is the way that injuries are played up so bad. Every single time someone falls over or something, they fall flat on their face like a fucking rag doll. It's like a video game where the character just loses all like living-ism in their body, and they're just like, I'm limp now. And it's just like, are you fucking, like, when I was a kid and you got knocked over in soccer, you got back up immediately because you didn't want to seem like the fucking pussy. But in real, like, professional soccer, someone gets briskly kicked in the knee by another person, and they're like, ah. They do the fucking Family Guy Peter Griffin skit where he's just sitting on the ground, grabbing his knee, and it's like, come on, get up. Like, you're a grown boy, come on. And then the announcers will use some excuse like, oh, but these players kick really hard. They can kick with like up to whatever blah 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 pounds of force. It's like they don't swing their foot like that every kick. No one like is trying to pass the ball to another teammate and is like freaking lead footing it. No one. They didn't even do that when I was a kid. What the fuck was that for, dumbass? You could have left that there, you know? I swear to fuck, if you fucking do that again, I will smack you down. I will beat you up with my horn. He's like, why? Why you do this?
I want to learn the hunting horn, seems really good.
I already taught you how to use a hunting horn. Oh, I thought I was out of reach. I need to put attack up back on.
You tried and I failed. And I forgot.
That's if you can play the game without your console exploding again. Damn it.
No. Yeah.
Damn it, I couldn't roll fast enough. Got him. Didn't get him. Really wish I had a Vade extender on this build. People gotta learn how to shoot the flash pod at the dang ground, dude. Why am I the only person who does that?
I do the tuner.
Dang it.
You've become the slave within our bounds,
No, he's gonna flip it. He's not gonna hold it. You gotta hold the lever. Those are so lame. Even just watching them, they're just like so lame. Monster Hunter has always had the lamest dual-wield weapons, though. They used to have, like, dual Tonfa-type weapons in one of the other games. I can't remember which one it was in. But they were, like, dual-wielding stun weapons for applying KO. And if I remember correctly, they were pretty dang bad.
Nothing will stop us.
Want to get all those prints for when Iceborne comes out. I can just buy all the gems. Cheater. He's a cheater. Cheater. You been cheating? Let's use a build with a Vade extender. Definitely not that one.
Be right back.
Devil Join, Devil Join, Devil Join, Devil Joe Horn. I had an empty gem slot on this? Or did they buff this weapon and give it 3 gem slots? I never... Or did I upgrade the weapon and give it a gem slot? I did. That's the weird thing. Alright then.
Which one of us is gonna back the table strap? You or me? I like competition.
God dang it. He's gonna hit me again. Yep. Darn. Darn. That's bad. Crystal Burst. OP. You want to bet that I'm doing the most damage? If only I could tell.
Every swing of your weapon speaks of who you are. Make your swings count. You cannot take them back.
Back.
Welcome back.
That could be a good addition. Show damage stats and stuff at the end of hunts.
They'd never do it because they don't want players competing against each other. They've already said that before. Even putting in the hunter highlights thing is like questionable to them. But they know people wanted something like that, so. smack. Yep, I saw that coming. No.
Tired, going to head off, see you.
Alright, dude.
We'll be on tomorrow around 1-1 and if you wanna play.
If you can. Got him.
Yeah, if it overheats again I am gonna trying to open it and clean it.
It doesn't need to be cleaned, dude, like I told you. Its problem is thermal paste, clearly.
Try.
Because your PS4 is loud, or at least is audible even on the dashboard, which is a dead sign, pretty much. Like my PS4,
I don't have any thermal paste.
My PS4 cools down to nothing on loading screens, basically. It's only ever doing anything when I'm playing the game, and that's like a good sign. It's a good sign that your PS4 changes its RPM, because then that means it's cooling efficiently enough that a small change in processing power changes the fan speed. Because that's how most PS4 fans are, and why most people have a loud PS4. Is the fan is trying to cool, but it can't cool something that can't... It can't... The heatsink can't pull up enough heat from the die to allow the fan to cool it properly. So the fan goes as fast as it can, but it's not accomplishing anything because the heatsink isn't absorbing the heat like it should be. And really, like I said, the stock model PS4s are the worst when it comes to heat sinks because of the way that their heatsink is designed. The clip or the clamp that helps hold it in place is a plastic two-ended little S-shaped thing, and it is the most unreliable piece of shit ever. Getting it seated back into place, even when you put new thermal paste on it, sometimes will require you to then take it apart again to unscrew the heatsink and re-screw it back down properly. That's why if you ever do get thermal paste and you do decide you want to swap it out, make sure when you screw the heatsink clamp back on, you do it one side, one screw turn at a time. As long and as stupid as that sounds, you want the thing to press down as flat as it can. If you just screw down one side all the way to the base and then the other, it's going to squish it all in one direction, and it's not going to make a good seal on the heatsink. So you got to make sure, that's the part you need to take the most time doing, is the re-screwing back down of that clamp. Like I said, one screw turn each side until it's tight.
Yeah.
With a PS4 Pro or a PS4 Slim, they have an X clamp, which is way more reliable and a lot more foolproof, because you can just do the opposite sides. You do it in a cross pattern. You go 1, 1, 1, 1, and stuff like that, and it just naturally presses down more evenly. Because you're not trying to pull the heatsink up to the clamp, you're trying to press the clamp down to the heatsink, and that will gently press the die with the thermal paste on it onto the heatsink, so it gets an even coverage, hopefully. Anyways, sorry to keep you. I know you probably don't want to hear about that shit, because I know, like, I hate doing stuff like that. I'll do it if I have to or I feel like I need to, but I won't do it if I don't have to. Because I know what happens over time if you don't change the thermal paste. Just like that. It's like my old PS4. My old PS4, the fan was always like, even on startup. And when I opened it up, because back at my old place, where my old PS4, we used to smoke and stuff like that in the same room as the PlayStation 4, and we had cats and other things that would walk around it and be next to it. And I opened that thing up, like I said, back when I got my PS4 Pro. I decided to open that up for the hell of it, and I was like, you can't even clean this. It's not possible to clean it, because the second you get the dust out of it, the sticky tar, you'd have to take it apart piece by piece and like clean it off with rubbing alcohol and stuff like that. It was terrible. That's why I said I'm never smoking around my electronics for an extended period of time ever again. That was terrible. Never smoke around something you want to last a long time. Because it's not that the smoke will kill it, it's that small layer of tar that the dust sticks to that will absolutely fuck it. Because once a little bit of dust builds up, it's just like a wad will just build up with it. And it's so bad. Oh shit, I need to... Almost forgot to swap my build to my gas build. Got gas? I know I do. Gassy.
I'm off for real now. Saya.
Alright, man. Have a good one. Hopefully it goes well.
There's only one record of all his acts, but it was more like a possible match, not a definite ID.
He's more like a possible match, not a definite ID. Because no one ever saw it before. Someone just made it up and then it existed. That's how monsters work. Puddle pod. Puddle pod.
Poke.
What's up, Riculon Prime? Come here. Damn it.
Not a lot. What about you, Dustin Supreme Alpha?
What? Nebulous Dustino. I was telling Hyro earlier how I was out for a walk and this dude drove by and he was like, "Ew!" like screamed at his lungs, and then he was like, "Smoking!" And I know he was like doing it towards me for whatever reason because he was looking at me. I could see it through my sunglasses, although I did not make eye contact because I was just like, what? No, this is the only thing you can't tackle. Got him.
We hope you don't mind us stepping in and taking care of this for you.
Go away, you little shitbirds. Let me skin Valhazak. Let me get that fang real quick here. You know what I mean? What is going... Let me get that fang real quick. No. Concordo. That's good stuff. It's good stuff. My guy's got to have gone through at least 50 books by now. I'm the reason why there's a giant stack of books in Astera. Who needs a field team?
Yet it always seems like we do all the work.
Yeah, all this guy does is sit here and pull this lever over and over again. Oh my god, I ran out of energy at the last second. No, it automatically took off my fucking mantle. Oh, I hate that mechanic. Oh my god, I wish there was an option to turn that the fuck off. Wow, good job, bud. Good job. Great job. What's up? Why question mark? Did I say something?
You see, you wish you could turn something off.
Auto mantle off. I hate that mechanic. The thing where it automatically takes off your mantle when you put your weapon away after being in combat with your mantle on for an extended period of time. It'll just automatically force your character to take your mantle off, and it makes you not run. It makes you walk at normal running speed instead of dashing speed. And there's no option for it. Should be in this or this. More of this, yo. Whoops. Excuse me. Bless you. Bless. Wouldn't let me turn my damn camera. I love that mechanic too, the you can't turn your camera mechanic, because we're forcing you to look at the fucking spot where the monster isn't even there anymore. Now I remember why
Bless you.
I only use Lance on this guy. Oh shit, dude. How does anyone ever use other things on this guy? It is so hard to do anything, man. Oh, come on. My only opportunity to charge up my damn sword. And I love how they're nerfing this when Iceborne comes out. I love it. Nerf a weapon that's already not that great because of its basic attacks being vertical slices. Because that's how you use a fucking katana. Japanese company, my ass. And missed. It is so fucking impossible to do anything with this. I could be using a lance and be hitting 60 damage consistently a hit. But instead I fucking... I haven't even gotten my sword up to level 3 charge once. A singular time. Alright, we both had the same exact problem. What the fuck was that? I'm sick of being connected to this guy's game. Obviously, he's got some fucking bad voodoo or... like... fucking nonsense, dude. And I didn't grab more bombs. Get off my screen, Moth. I don't have any bombs. Oh, and you're gonna wyvern snipe it? Yeah, so you get the double damage on your friggin' 20 damage shot, bud. Genius. Best way to wake up a monster. Get me out of here. Remind me why I hate fighting that fucking monster. The problem is you just can't reliably counter attacks that aren't even guaranteed to hit you when they go off. Like the lightning that goes around it in random spots in a circle. It's like fucking impossible to predict a foresight on that shit. You basically have to be staring at your character's feet the entire time. Moth, buddy. You gotta get off the screen, dude. Come here. Walk on me, bud. Get off the screen. I don't want to... There. No. Come on. You wanted to do it for a second. Come on, little buddy. Come on. No, stop flying away. No. Such a troll. Every time I get him on my finger, he just flies the second I pull him away from the screen. Bro, you gotta get off the screen. Well, he's not on the screen anymore, so... Son of a fuck. Ugh. I hate using this weapon so much. At least when you get stunned out of a true charge slash, you don't lose the ability to do another one. Son of a bitch. What the fuck was that delayed ass hitbox bullshit shenanigans? Horse cock. And he's going underground again. Oh, you can suck a dick. I can't remember who the YouTuber's name was who played this game back when it came out that banned me from his channel when he was playing Bloodborne. But now I understand why the guy never played more than like 160 hours of the game. Because when you only use this weapon, you either go fucking mad or you just accept the fact you're gonna miss 90% of what goes on, and you're gonna spend more time trying to just charge your fucking blade because nothing on the screen ever happens the way you want it to. Just using this weapon is so maddening. I don't know what it is about it. Every single time I use this weapon, it just makes me angry.
Well, hug.
I just don't understand the developer's mentality when it came to making this weapon. I would have liked a complete redesign. It's the same thing I feel with like the dual swords. I feel like they're so archaic feeling and they haven't had enough new stuff or enough new ways to change the way that you play it. The only thing that you do is when you're at Spirit Blade level 3, instead of just continuously doing the Spirit Blade combo, you sacrifice one level of it to do a higher damaging attack, then you just do the R2 combo anyways. They added one different thing in the loop of using this weapon. And now they're nerfing the foresight slash. And adding a super armor based draw strike ability, which you only get to keep your meter if you take damage as your damage hits the person. So it has to be like swords collide kind of stuff, except for with the unpredictability of Monster Hunter World hitboxes, where it's like sometimes you get hit in the first half of the animation, and then other times you get hit when the animation is already played out for the most part. You get hit by a ghost or a phantom hitbox, a lingering phantom hitbox. And then you have the opposite in this game, where you have attacks that have too small of a hitbox when they should have a way bigger one, or a long-lasting one. Like the fire ring that Uragon puts below him, that he farts outwards. That should deal constant fire damage, but it doesn't. If you block or foresight the initial fire, you can stand in the entire rest of the animation and not take damage. It's not like Kulve Taroth's fire or Xenojiva's fire or something like that. It's just a ring of damage that goes outwards, and then the entire fire particle effect is just that. It's just a particle effect. Because they couldn't bother programming it to actually be fire. They're like, that would require us to change the programming that he's had since Monster Hunter 3, and we don't, or Monster Hunter 4, I think. We don't have the time to do that, so yeah, we're not doing that. We're just gonna make him shoot off a bunch of frickin' lava pimples on the ground. And then they didn't have enough of the lava pimples in the game, so they had to make Basil, and then made him have bagel bites that he drops from the sky. Awesome. Like some of the things in this game, I want to say the developers as a whole care, but I just, you can't see it a lot of the time. You can't see the care put into it, because it just, you're constantly reminded that it could be better. And when I say redesign, I don't mean like all the attacks are bad. I just think the base vertical chops are really silly, considering your character isn't even like putting his everything into the swing. Like your character can swing a heavier weapon faster than the longsword. That's one of the things I've always felt Spirit Blade should do, was increase your attack speed by 5 and then 10%, or something like that. Maybe 10 and then 5 or something like that. So you get 20% increased attack speed in red Spirit Blade. Or something like that. Something to actually make it feel like a DPS weapon, and not just that awkward in-between use it because it has a counter weapon. Because that's what it feels like. You only use this weapon because it has like a counter attack on it. Because if you're not using like the Divine Slasher or a high damage build, it's just subpar damage. Because the weapon just, without having just a ridiculously high base damage, you don't hit hardly any of the monsters for any damage worthwhile. Hunting Horn hits harder than the fucking longsword does on average. Most of the Hunting Horns, without even applying attack up S, can hit for 60 to 100 damage a triangle. And I was struggling to hit like friggin' 80s with a critical element build. Granted, the monster wasn't weak to the element, but even still, that's just like, it's so bad. You lose so much damage for losing like 100 base. If you lose 100 base damage on the longsword, you might as well not even use it, because it's going to deal such a small amount of damage. You could be doing more DPS with the sword and shield, which isn't even a joke. Without Helmbreaker, longsword would still be what it used to be. The weeb weapon. At least now it has some, like, power to it, so you can hit a high damage hit when you want to. It used to just be the mediocre damage weapon. That most people use just to cut tails off because of its vertical triangle attacks, not even because of the R2s. But I'll be right back. I gotta use the bathroom again. I don't know, I'm also a negative person when it comes to some of the weapons. I've been that way since it came out, but like the more I play the game, the more I find myself not liking longsword compared to other weapons and what they offer. I just feel like longsword offers the least amount of usefulness. It's just a DPS weapon that doesn't even deal that great a DPS on average, because it's just really hard to make it work right if the monster just keeps doing shit not in your direction. Or stuff that has like weird hitboxes that cause your foresight to not be useful. Like, for example, the Diablo's tail attacks, Diablo's head attacks, as your Rathalos rampaging in the sky, stuff like that, that is just like, cool, you can counter it, but it's not like the Lance where you can do like counter guard dash or something like that. You can't stay invulnerable. So the second the monster hits more than once in a row, you're fucked. You're getting hit. It's not, you're gonna get hit. You're getting hit, because that's how that works, dumbass. And I hate that. That is one of my least favorite things about the longsword. Is it's like, if I greatsword tackle through a monster's attack, the tackle can last through it, and it moves you forward. It doesn't move you backwards. But if you want to foresight slash something that has a double hitbox, you need to foresight backwards and then R2 forwards. So if you're looking at a monster like I am now, you'd have to press backwards and R2 circle, so your character would go backwards like this over to about here, and then you'd press R2 in this direction to make your character turn slightly to do the R2. And that's just nonsensical. Like I said, I understand how to use it properly, but doing that kind of stuff in the moment when it's useful is way harder than half of the other weapons. But I will give the longsword credit where credit is due. I always tell people to use it because it is the most noob-friendly weapon. Because all you have to do to deal remotely decent damage with it is just kind of mash buttons. Even if you're not using Spirit Blade properly, you're still dealing some amount of decent damage. It's not like when you see someone using the charge blade and they just walk up to monsters in axe mode and just press triangle once or twice, and the person probably hits maybe 1,200 damage the entire fight, because he spends the entire time being hit trying to hit them in axe mode without having any files charged or anything like that. I'm not using this again. I need to get a Kajar fire gun lance, so I can remake this build and make it a lot better. Mike went to Maine, and he made the biggest mistake ever in putting one of the neighbors, his friend that he's been friends with for like 6 or 7 years, in charge of his plants. Because when I walked by earlier today, I already saw some of his plants were, in the containers anyways, were wilting. And I was like, If that dude does not come out tomorrow and give them a splash of water, at least 5 or 6 of his plants are cooked and dead. And it's like, you could have let me do it when I offered, because it's not like I have anything else to fucking do during the day. But no, he has to put the trust into someone who has 2 kids, where his kid threw a baseball and crushed one of his plants earlier this season. And then he offered the crushed plant to me to clone it. And so now I have a plant that was originally in the ground over there because he doesn't, like, I don't know, he doesn't value that kind of stuff. He values arbitrary things like where you come from. He's the kind of person where if you mention anything to do with Boston, he loves it, even though he's not from Boston. Just his favorite sports teams and people are from Boston, so he cherishes it like it's a religion. And then he acts like I'm weird because I say caring about where you're from is super selfish. You can have pride about being from a location, but if it's to the point where you're talking down about another place because you like one place more than the other, you're just full of shit. Simple as that. And he called me selfish for it. And I'm like, how is what I'm saying selfish? What I'm saying is outward thinking. What you're saying is inward thinking. That makes me not selfish. If anything, I'm overly whatever the opposite of selfish would be. I care way too much about things other people do than what I'm doing myself. I don't give a fuck where a person is from. I don't give a fuck what race they are. I care about what the fuck they're doing. And if a person comes up to me and mentions something about where they're from without even being asked, or having it be in like the context of a conversation, I'm just like, this person is fucking full of it. And there's nothing more than that. This is one of those kinds of people that you meet and then you don't want to talk to again because they're like, Chicago, or whatever. I'm just using that as an example. Again, Mike is all over Boston, and it's like, when he talked to me about stuff like that, he kind of expects me to back him up. And I'm just like, I'm just sitting there with like a blank face doing nothing because I just don't care. I'm like, it's cool that you care. I don't, and I don't think that way. I've never thought that way. Because I grew up in an area where people constantly bullied me and fucked with me. Why would I care about where I'm from? Where I'm from is shit for all I care. And he's like, because I had to start telling him about like my school life and how that kind of shit went. And like I had to explain to him how I got bullied so bad that my doctor was concerned for the health of some of the parts of my body because of where kids would like either hit me or do one of those, like, one of the kids that always used to fuck with me used to grab me by the sides and pinch me really hard. Sorry, I'm trying to focus. But I was trying to get him, because he just has a problem understanding my perspective on a lot of things. Because it's like I told him, I'm a medium, I'm not an extreme. The only thing I'm extreme with my views on are video games, and that's because I feel like developers have become lazy. Lazy shills of their former gamer selves. Game developers used to be gamers. They didn't used to be game developers. The people who made the game were just as proud to have made the game as they were to play it. Because just having something that functioned with your own effort and code or art put into it made you want to play it. Because you invested so much time in this thing. And a lot of developers wouldn't necessarily say they loved playing their own games, but a lot of developers would say that games that they made back in the day definitely had more of an impact on them than games do now on modern IT developers that come out of a college for video game design and are told do this and this and this, and then they're fired once the game comes out, and they're just hired in another game company to do the same thing, and they have no real reason to give a shit about it because they were just told to do a bunch of crap, and half of the crap was something mundane to do with something in the game that one person themselves could have done if they actually cared about the game. But instead, because no one cares about the game, they have to have 12 different people do something, again, that it only takes one person to do. Think of original Elder Scrolls and old Bethesda versus modern Bethesda. That is like one of the best examples, where half of the company's workers weren't there in the original games, and the people who are still left from the original games don't put the care or effort into it anymore, because why would they?
Where else could you find deals like these?
It happens with all major companies now. Companies will hire like 600 workers for a project, and then at the end of it, when they're making the most money, they, for whatever reason, fire 100, 200, 300 workers, even though their company is at the highest payout their company's ever been at. And that happens with companies that aren't even video game companies. And that's where video game companies left my respect. Movie directors are the only people who are really exempt from this, because a lot of movie directors or producers are actually into the final product. They want to see what that becomes because they spend so much time seeing the actors do this and that sort of thing. Good directors, anyways. Talking about people like Kubrick. Nowadays, you just don't have that. You don't play a video game and you don't feel the heart and soul poured into it. Very few video games capture that properly anymore. And that's why I hate saying I've lost all, like, respect for all video game developers, because there are still indie developers which do try and care about what they do. Oh my word. No, do the dash. Dang it. Oh no. This is actually bad. Should have dodged backwards. I can't wait to have the outline around my character when a monster's in front of the camera. That's an Iceborne change that's really good. Oh. No, you dill pile. You know what I think of this situation? Me. Putting my arm through my shield. So strong. Are you not gonna put a bomb next to its face, bud? You're gonna blow its ass up. Me. This guy.
Seen today's wares?
Sorry about that. I'm choking on my own spit over here a little bit. That was supposed to be a quick reload. Oh my word. No! It's always the third hit. That's the second time I've killed a monster. I've killed Nerd in that same exact spot with one hit. Those are the moments where I can safely say, I did the last hit. I killed him.
Pro Hunter. I always get good end screens.
Stop! Friggin' spammer. You fucking cock. Son of a... That is so horseshit with that hitbox, man. Cockamamie. Ass crack bumble dick. Alright, I'm gonna go out for one last smoke and that's it. Actually, I'll just shut the stream off. I don't really have much I want to say anyways. I'm just tired. I'll be back. Peace out.